Welcome to episode 227, Playdates to Paydays, the stay-at-home mum virtual assistant formula.
We had an awesome confidence coaching call with a stay-at-home mum based in Australia this week. And it kind of, after we hopped off the call, Joe, I think for both of us, brought up some memories. I mean, I'd forgotten. I feel like I've been in the VA business for so long now. I'd actually forgotten that this aspiring VA's dreams or the start of her path to becoming a VA, this is how we started. We were both stay-at-home mums with literal babies.
Yeah. Yeah. For you, it was 9 years ago? 13 years ago for me. Yeah, that's a long time. And I was saying just before we came on, I don't think I've done anything in my entire life for 13 years.
No, I definitely haven't done anything longer than 5 years. Like 5 years in terms of like previous employment, 5 years has been my max. So being in the VA space for 9 years is huge for me. Although, in all fairness, my kind of role within the VA space over that 9 years has changed significantly. There's been lots of different kind of pivots, which is probably why I'm still here. If there hadn't been, maybe I would have been bored by now.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I don't work in my VA business anymore. I'm more like kind of advising in a kind of advisory kind of role. So it doesn't feel like I've been doing the same thing for 13 years either.
No. But I mean, going back all that time, we were both stay-at-home mums with, I mean, for me, I then stepped into the VA space accidentally. And it was very much about just having a little bit of extra money on the side. We didn't need any income that I was going to be bringing in to house us and clothe us and feed us. So it was kind of a bit of play money for me. Very different for you though, Joe. You knew immediately that you were going to do the agency route and go all in, right?
Yeah, I mean, that confidence that I had back then, like, wow. I'm impressed with 13 year ago, Joe, of like how ballsy I was to be like, yeah, I'm going to grow an agency. There was no like question about whether I was going to do that. There was no like, I'm going to be a freelancer or anything. It was like, right, I had a business partner back then too. So we were full steam ahead. We were going to hire people and be an agency from the get-go.
That is so cool. And very ballsy. Like, I think you have every right to give yourself a pat on the back in terms of your balls doing that. Because were there any other agencies even out there when you did it 13 years ago?
Well, when we started, we didn't actually know that there was a virtual assistant industry. So we didn't know that there were other people doing things. When we found that out and realized, oh, what we're doing is a virtual assistant company, I feel like there was maybe 3, but only, I don't think any of them were agencies.
Yeah. By the time I then kind of accidentally found the VA space, how many years later, 4 years after you would have launched yours, there was you, of course, there were a few other agencies and there were a handful of other freelancers, but not many. Like not many. It still wasn't it wasn't the VA space that we have today here in New Zealand, that's for sure.
Definitely not. No. Yeah. Yeah. I think as we started to grow and obviously get more known, I felt like then there definitely were more agency VA business agencies that started popping up for sure. Yeah. Kind of started around that like 2012 kind of period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And so you had a prem baby at that time, didn't you?
Yeah, Angus had come 5-6 weeks early, so it was a bit of a surprise. That came with some additional kind of extra needs, I guess, having a preemie newborn at home, this wasn't something that we were going to discuss actually, but it's just occurred to me. I think this is something to anyone listening that maybe is a stay-at-home mum that you might have one or even 2 children. You might be thinking about another one, thinking about, well, my first 2 were really easy labors, easy pregnancies. So this VA thing is going to be super easy with a third baby, no different. Each pregnancy is so different, right? So don't just assume that you are going to be able to pop out a baby and then you're going to have all these hours to put into the business. Like, it doesn't necessarily work that way.
Yeah, no. Okay, and you had a toddler at the same time?
Yeah, Izzy was at kindy. So she was doing kindy hours. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had Brax and he was 6 months old at that time. When my business partner and I, Terry, we decided that we would, because we had the same background, we decided that we would go and start a business together. She also had a 6-month-old because I met her in antenatal group. And so we went out and we bought a double mountain, what's it called? Mountain buggy,
Yeah.
like a double side-by-side one, so that I looked after her daughter and my son and go for walks and stuff while Terry worked, and then Terry would look after the two while I worked. And so we had this double buggy as if we were had twins, and we would look after each other's kids for a while. And then I found a pause lady that had like a lifestyle property, and she had all these animals on her property, and I just loved that. And so Brax went and did pause with her, which is, I can't remember how many hours it was, but it was quite a lot of hours, kind of like normal kind of school hours. And that really freed me up to then go and do more. But like in this episode, you don't have to want to do
No.
it ongoing or bigger or better later. Like, this is your life, your business. You can set this up and do whatever you want in it.
Yeah. Because mine was very different. There was no way. I wanted to do everything I could to avoid having to put Angus into daycare. No judgment for anyone that does use daycares, but me, my values, the way that Mark and I decided that we wanted to bring up a young family was opposite to that. So, really, I had nap time available, evenings and weekends, and that was it. And I made it work. Was it easy? No, not always. Like, some days were really hard. Like, all it takes is your kid to be sick and your whole schedule is then thrown out the window, basically. But was it worth it? 100%. If I was to do it all over again, I absolutely would. There'd be no hesitation. I'd probably do a couple of things differently, but
yeah, which is why we're going to have this episode and talk about those things. Right?
Yeah, learn from us. Learn from us. If you are listening, if you are at home with a little one and you want to dip your toes into the VA space, learn from the mistakes, because we've been there, we've done that, and we've written the playbook, like, literally.
Yeah, this is the formula. We're going to give it to you right now. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to focus this on someone who's a stay-at-home mum, and you have some nap time hours or maybe some kindy hours to start bringing in some extra money.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Sams. We're not talking about the Joes that want to go all in and, right now. We're talking about those that kind of just want some extra play money. They want to use their brains again, maybe, and they want to be able to stay at home with the little ones.
Okay. All right. The first kind of step that we want you to really think about is, realistically, how much availability will you have to be able to put into your business? So what kind of hours, what kind of nap times, what is possible for you, or what do you want to do in terms of the time that you're going to put into this, right?
Yeah, because I think this is where you can go wrong really, really early on. And there's two ways. You can overestimate the amount of time you think you can put in, or you can underestimate it. You can look at other virtual assistants and assume, oh my goodness, the only option to me is to be available more hours than I already am, or the opposite. So being really realistic and overly cautious, I think, knowing that not every day is going to be a day where your child naps well and is well behaved.
And I think too, also thinking about the hours that you want to work, like don't assume that they have to be a decent or a large number of
Mm.
hours or a large portion of the week to even be attractive to clients, because the aspiring virtual assistant, the stay-at-home mom that we talked to last week, she said that she had 6 hours in a week available that she could put into a business. And we were like, wow, this is awesome. That
Yeah.
you know that you have 6 hours and you can still do something like a virtual assistant business, even with 6 hours.
Yeah. I think I started with 10, like 10 max.
Yeah.
And there was anyone going, oh, but who's going to hire you for that amount of time? You will be surprised.
Yeah.
The fact that this virtual assistant we spoke about, 6 hours, like ideally, that's one client. It might be
Mhm.
two. It might be two smaller clients, but ideally, that's only one client you need to find.
Yeah.
And for a lot of leads, or for let me rephrase that. For a certain type of lead, they don't care when it is you are going to work those hours. They are not going to care that you're a stay-at-home mum and that this is your side hustle. There are other women, mothers, that actually would prefer to be able to have their VA that is a stay-at-home mum because they feel as though they're doing good, right? They feel as though they're kind of giving back to their fellow motherhood community. Like they want you to do well. They're supporting you.
Yeah. Okay. So first step, you've got that availability and you're realistic about that. You know the number of hours that you want to put into this. And a little side note here, the number of hours that you have available to work on your business is not the total number of hours that you're going to have available for clients. Okay, because there's going to be some unbillable admin time in and around these hours. So once you've got those hours set, we want you to have a think about what is your skills and experience that you already have that you could offer as a service to a client. So the VA that we spoke to, or aspiring VA, she had a background in accounts. So we were
Mhm.
like, great, accounts is a bookkeeping is a very sought after kind of service, and that would really suit having the 6 hours available because that bookkeeping can be done at any time during that week. It's not like you have to be available and on call, monitoring an inbox or, being available for urgent things as they come up with that client.
Mm.
So have a think about what your skills and experience are in previous roles or things that you've done before and how you can translate those into a service that you could provide a potential client that also suits the availability that you have.
Can you repeat that so nobody misses it? This is another trap that we see aspiring VAs in this situation fall into time and time again, where the services that they think they're going to be able to offer a client are not in alignment with the hours that are available to give that client.
Yeah. Yeah. Those definitely have to line up. The services based on your skills and experience and the
Mm.
service based on the hours that you have available. Those absolutely need to be in alignment.
Yeah, there are going to be services that will not suit a nap time hustle that can be, what's the word when it's not set in stone? I've lost the word, Joe.
Flexible?
Not quite. It doesn't matter.
It'll come to you.
It'll
So
come to me.
So we're wanting to make sure that you're not choosing things that you have to be on call for, right? So like an executive.
Consistently. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm glad my on-call work word helped you. Yeah, so if you need to be available during 9 till 5, 5 days a week because you're
Mm.
monitoring an inbox or, urgent things come in and out and you need to respond or answer a phone or things like that, that's not going to suit the snap time hustle. That is definitely not going to. So think of something that you've done previously that you can transfer into the VA space and actually suits the availability you have.
Yeah. Call minding would probably be another one that we'd add to that list. That is going to be something that you are going to be attached to your phone at certain hours of the day, which it's just not conducive to that ultimate freedom and flexibility that a stay-at-home mum really does need. It's
Yeah.
vital for you.
Something that I love that you did when you started is that you were like, okay, eventually you figured out that this is actually going to work better for you, and that's the fixed fee packages, right? The
Mhm.
project based things, because when you first started trying to do like the general admin and like the EA stuff just isn't conducive to the hours that you have available as a stay-at-home mom, right? So
Yeah.
actually thinking about what is a project-based kind of service that you can offer is a really good option if it's conducive to something that you have skills and experience in. So definitely think about that.
Yeah,
Pack
that was a
projects really,
game
really well.
changer for me. Like,
Mm.
I feel as though especially for somebody that may struggle, I'm thinking of a people-pleasing virtual assistant that struggles to maintain boundaries with their clients. That type of virtual assistant is gonna really, really benefit from being able to offer a service that you can put a fixed fee package on it.
Yeah.
And then no one cares at that point, those types of packages, when you do the work, so long as you do
Mhm.
it in a timely manner.
Yeah.
There's a
So-
start and an end date,
yeah.
and boom, you deliver the finished product at
Mhm.
that end date.
Yeah.
That I felt when I got to that point, I felt as though a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And it was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god. Oh, this is what it feels like." I up until then, I had gone through a period, and I was at the point where I was questioning a lot of things, like, "Is this even worth it?" Because it felt like I was fighting every day to juggle both and juggle
Mm.
both well. Be there for
Mm.
my clients, be there for Mark, be there for my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, it was like, this really is the ultimate. Up until then, I had a lot of flexibility and freedom, but this really was the ultimate in flexibility and freedom when I got to
Mm.
that point. But I also think you need to be realistic, right? Yes, that's great thing to strive towards, being able to offer a service that you love, that really lights you up in a way that suits your availability. But I didn't go into that in day one. I think if someone had told me, you have to set up your virtual assistant in business, so you're offering fixed fee packages in a service that you're interested in, you love doing, but you've got actual no experience in, that would have felt too hard. That would have felt
Mhm.
too scary. Imposter syndrome would have
Mm.
stopped me from taking any action. That's
Yeah.
why it may not have filled me with joy, but I was offering something that I'd been doing for a freaking 20 years beforehand. Did I enjoy it? No, but people were willing to pay me for it, and I could do it in my sleep, right?
Yeah. 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 And you could make it work. Yeah. Even though it was a bit of a juggle, you made it work.
You make
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it is more important to do something that you have skills and experience in than something that you really love
Yeah, I mean, that
when you
can be
start.
stage 2, right? That can be
Yeah.
stage 2 of your VA journey, the first big pivot that you make. Yeah, what we
Yeah.
don't want is for anyone to think about it, overthink it, frozen, not taking any action, and it's just this thing that you wish that you'd done
Mm.
earlier, but you just haven't taken action because it's just felt too hard. So
Mhm.
the easiest thing to do is to offer services that you have already got the skills and experience in 100%.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a chat about your rate and working that out and figuring out how many clients you need. So,
Ooh.
if you have got your hours, you've got your services now set, and you are thinking about, okay, how many clients does that actually mean for me? So, typically, so in my business, we have plans anywhere from like 10 hours to 40 hours per month. So if you had a 40-hour a month client, that would be around about just under 10 hours per week. So that could be one substantial client that you do 10 hours of work for if you've got 10 hours available. If you
Mhm.
don't have 10 hours, you have less, then maybe it's one 25-hour a month type client. If it's a fixed fee package, obviously that will be different. You're thinking about how many hours is it going to take me to actually deliver this work? And that's how you'll work out actually how many projects you can do in a month or in a week. So yeah, you're thinking about what type of client would suit the hours that I have available. And is that 1, 2, maybe it's maximum of 3 clients?
Which isn't a lot.
Nope, it's not.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
And usually we would say not to only have one client, all your eggs in one basket. But this is a very unique situation. A stay-at-home mum who doesn't rely on the money to pay bills and live, but it's extra money. If you lost that client and then you had to go out and find another one, there's a bit of a lull for a couple of weeks where you didn't have any money coming in. And that's actually okay because the financial situation you're in is fine with that. Then there's nothing wrong with you having just one client and then turning that over and getting a new one if they leave.
In fact, it's probably a good thing, especially if you've only got a small amount of hours available each week. What we don't want is for you to have, say you've got 10 hours available each week. Pulling that out of thin air, right? 10 hours. What you don't want is 10 clients, 10 itty-bitty clients that you're only giving 1 hour a week to. The admin involved just means it doesn't end up making it worth your while. You'll be chopping and changing, working for this one, then chopping to that one. It just gets really, really messy. So if you can fill up those 10 hours with one client, that would be the ideal. If you're a stay-at-home mum and this is a side hustle.
Yes. And you're not relying on it financially.
And you're not relying on it.
Yeah, because it's way easier to manage just one client and your expenses are way cheaper and you will end up being way more profitable out of that one client than having multiple.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing, a trap that we see stay-at-home mums falling into, and Sam, you did this as well, I definitely did this, is that you kind of assume, I'm just a stay-at-home mum and this is just my side hustle and I'm just doing a few hours. Can you hear my language? So now I'm going to justify a low rate because that's the value I'm putting on this in my situation.
So many virtual assistants are not charging enough. Their hourly rate is not high enough. And this means that for a lot of them, they're not even making minimum wage. They're putting all these hours in, but they're pricing themselves so low that financially it is actually just not worth it for them.
Yeah. You're still going to have some overheads to pay. You're still going to, in New Zealand, you'll be paying ACC because you'll be self-employed. You're going to get an ACC bill at some point. You're going to be paying your tax. Like, you actually have to make this worth it. And I think when someone has that employee mindset or, remembering what they were paid per hour as an employee, you can't just transfer that over into your business and be like, oh, well, then I'll just charge the same amount. It doesn't work like that because you are now a business owner. Even though you only have, say, one client and you're doing 10 hours a week, you're still a business owner. So we have to have that business owner mindset of like, no, actually, I am going to have expenses, overheads in my business, and I'm going to be paying my own tax, and there's going to be no KiwiSaver or holidays or anything like that. So all of those things need to come into that rate, and that is why it is substantially higher than what you would be paid in an employee role.
The best way, the quickest way, the easiest way, the most affordable way for you to figure out a profitable hourly rate if you're a stay-at-home mum wanting to become a virtual assistant is to grab our virtual assistant pricing calculator.
Yeah. It's just $7 on our website, and it will let you know what kind of range you are in when you start to put in your numbers. I think the other thing to think about too, especially if you are only going to have 1 or 2 clients, is to use as many free subscriptions to things as possible. So when you think about the tools that you're going to need, there's a short list of tools if you only have 1 or 2 clients. And out of those tools, there really is only the password manager that we would say needs to be a paid option. The other ones can just be the free versions. Your time tracking, your email address, just use the free for now.
Yeah. We don't want you to think that you don't need to time track, even if you've only got one client. Time tracking, no matter what type of virtual assistant you are, no matter who you're supporting, no matter how many clients you've got, no matter what your services are, have to time track. This is a non-negotiable in our book.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No matter if you're doing fixed fee projects or you're doing service plans or, hourly, you need to time track for sure.
Yeah, but there are free time tracking tools that will be more than sufficient for your purposes at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
mine was a free time tracking tool to start off with. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that isn't on our list, Joe, but this has just popped into my brain. This is one of the things we discussed with the aspiring VA on this confidence call was a contract. A stay-at-home mum / VA is probably the most likely to feel like they don't need to get their 1 or 2 clients to sign a contract.
You absolutely
Buy
do.
contract.
Yes.
Buy a
It is the
contract.
golden
Get
rule.
golden
Yeah.
rule. Our other second non-negotiable for those that are listening to this episode.
Something else we want you to think about is to not look around at all the other VAs who are doing this full time and have a full book of lots of clients and think that you have to have all the things that they have when they talk about tools and, subscriptions that they have in their business. It is not necessary for you. We want you to keep this super low expenses so that you are maximizing the profit that you can make from your limited number of hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is a stay-at-home mum going to get a client from, Sam?
The easiest client that you are going to get, stay-at-home mum, is somebody that is already in your immediate network or your extended network. So somebody that knows of somebody else that needs your help.
Yeah. It's going to be someone you know. When you start to talk about this, that you're going to be looking for a client, it is going to be someone that you already know, someone you might have worked with previously, friend that's in business, someone that already knows, like, and trusts you.
Yep. I mean,
You
half
only need
of
one.
yeah, you only need one, probably 2 maximum. It is going to be somebody that you've already built a relationship with. They are going to hire you just like that if they already know you. The credibility is there. The trust is there.
Yeah.
Easy.
And when you talk to this lead about your services, we want you to be really open and honest about your availability. Please don't feel like you have to hide the fact that you're a stay-at-home mum. You can use that as a benefit to them, like they might really want to support a stay-at-home mum. Maybe they are a mum. So like Sam was talking about earlier, it can actually work in your favor. So don't hide it. And you don't want to have them assume that you can just be available all the time. Okay? So we really want you to make sure that you're clear about your availability so that they know what to expect when they start working with you.
Yeah. And don't feel as though, because chances are you're going to know them, right? Don't feel as though you have to offer mates rates or family rates or rates because this is a side hustle rate. No such thing as a side hustle rate.
Nice. I like that quote. Okay. I think something else to be mindful of too is having a dedicated workspace that is not in your dining room or in your lounge, somewhere that you can actually separate this work mode with mum mode. We want you to not feel like you're then constantly working or thinking about it because it's in your vision throughout the day. When it's very clear boundaries between like work time, mum time.
Yeah. If you are not used to working from home, especially, being able to switch off work life from home life is an adjustment. It's something that isn't going to come naturally. You're going to have to put things into place. that I guess kind of fake that whole 5 o'clock shutdown, switching off the computer, leaving the office, hopping in your car, commuting home. By the time you then get home, you're in a home
Mm.
mindset, right? So there are things that you are going to need to do if you're going to be working from home long term to kind of fake this, because you're not going to have it. But it's really important for your mental health. If you have got an opportunity in your home that you can create this dedicated work space, that you can shut the door, it means that the time that you then want to be spending with your children, with your family, doing whatever it else that is that you're doing, it's going to be a lot more easier for you to be present, to be truly, truly present. This took me years to figure out. Years. Going back to, talking about the battle, that mental constant battle to be present, that when I'm working, I want to be 100% present for my clients. When I'm being a mum, I want to be able to be 100% present. Having that dedicated workspace is definitely going to help you in that goal.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate it.
No.
If
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some people that don't have the luxury, I guess, of having a dedicated space. But if that's you, if you're on the dining room table, pack up the laptop and put it in a drawer. Otherwise, it's going to be there. It's going to be taunting you. You're going to go, oh, I'm just going to check the inbox, or I'm just going to look at this, or I'm just going to create that. I'm just going to reply to this email.
Yeah, that boundary is going to be very, very important, along with your boundaries with your clients when you're communicating with them around your working hours and your availability too. So the moment that you answer that phone or answer that email outside of your normal availability, your client has now had that expectation reset with them, and they are going to continue to expect messaging back and forwards outside of your normal work hours. So make sure you hold those boundaries. It's going to be very important. Okay. Also, don't want to go past using ChatGPT as your assistant in your business, because this can really help you speed up the many aspects of business that you will still need to do. Maybe you're still going to do some content creation, maybe not if you only need one client, but meal planning, helping you with your daily life and your work stuff in any way possible, I think is going to be even more helpful as it starts to develop. So don't underestimate the use of ChatGPT as your assistant when you are starting this business.
How did we survive without ChatGPT?
I love ChatGPT.
I
I
know
know
you
you're
do.
still on the fence, Sam, but it helps me a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, when you first suggested adding that to the list, I was like, really? Really? But
We'll
I
take
mean,
it.
it does. ChatGPT, it can definitely make our lives simpler. So why wouldn't you use a tool in order to simplify your life?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the stay-at-home mum who has got their client, they've been working with the client. Maybe their kids are starting to get a bit older, which is going to happen to all of our kids. They're going to move through the stages. So let's have a chat about maybe you've started that business and now you are wanting to transition into doing some more hours, more business stuff, because maybe your kids are now in kindy or maybe they've started school.
If this is your first child that's entering the kindy space, just so you know, the first day of kindy is probably not the day that all of a sudden you triple your availability for your clients. You might need to take a day. You might need to take the week in order to kind of fully transition to your new life. This was a massive transition for me. I think when you've been a stay-at-home mum for so long, kind of letting your little wee one out for the first time where someone else is looking after it is a big deal. Let's not underestimate that for a lot of mums. Maybe not all mums, but it's going to be a struggle. But also,
I feel like you're looking at me like, not all mums. I'm like,
No,
bye, see ya.
no judgment, Joe. And I mean, you're
Mm.
probably listening to me going, ugh, I can't believe it took you that long.
What, a week
A
to get
week.
over your child leaving your house?
But also the other thing to note in terms of kind of transitioning, I think your child is all of a sudden going to be exposed to a lot of germs
Yep.
and that those kind of like, I'm going to now be available for 30 hours a week. Once again, you're not actually being realistic. That's not how the real world works when your child is all of a sudden exposed to a kindy or school environment.
Yeah, it takes quite a long time. I'm going to say months for your child to actually be able to
Yeah.
be there for their normal hours regularly without being sick.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind is once you're entering the kindergarten or the school kind of era of your parenthood, school holidays. Holy shit. Do you know how many school holidays and teacher only days children have?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 12, 13 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. So please, you need to like plan for this. Are you going to work through the school holidays? Are you going to have a grandparent look after them? Are you going to team up with another mum that you know that also has a side hustle and do what you did with your old business partner and kind of take turns? I
Mm,
did that with a neighbor, like a lot of holidays for many years. I'd take her kids for a day a week and she'd take mine for a day a week. So at least
mm.
that was one day a week during school holidays that I would have no distractions, and that worked really well. So
It's a great idea.
don't overestimate the hours that you are going to have available just
Mm,
because your child is entering this next stage in terms of their education.
yeah. But I mean, how cool. If you have been doing this as a side hustle, your kids go to school, kindy, whatever, and then you increase your hours,
Mhm.
like that is a really realistic and great option for someone who doesn't want to go and return to the workforce. Because, like,
Uh-huh.
let's be realistic about how many jobs there are even available, like in today's climate. But secondly, how many jobs actually offer part time or school hours that's going to suit?
They are hard to come by. Not that we have actively looked for employment for many, many years, but from all of the women that we talk to, all of the
Mm,
mums that we've spoken to that have kind of been ready to re-enter the workplace in some way have really, really struggled with this, struggled finding, maybe not, struggled finding somebody that they could work school hours with. But even if they were to find that type of employer, not all employers, are going to be very open to all the sick days that you then have to take to look after your kid. Or if you want to be able to attend the weekly assemblies or the athletics days or the swim sports days. Once
mhm.
again, all of these, this is a whole new world that you're entering into the terms of the school system and all of the invites. And when your kid goes, "Oh, will you come on camp with me? Or will you do this
Mm.
library trip with me or this Mariah trip with me?" What employer is going to be like going, "Of course you can do all of that whenever you want it."
Yeah, no, they are not. Maybe sometimes, but no.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's costing them money.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we hope that that has given you some food for thought if you are a stay-at-home mum thinking about how you can bring in some, as Sam likes to call it, play money, and then how you might think about transitioning this into maybe more like school hours once kids go to school so that you don't have to return to those horrible commuting 9 to 5 jobs that we don't like here.
So, how do they do that, Joe? Stay-at-home mum wants to enter the VA space, has little to nothing to invest in terms of getting started.
So we have a dip your toes in option at the VA Foundry, and that is to grab the very affordable 7-step formula and the pricing calculator. That's 27 plus 7 New Zealand dollars, and that's going to give you the step-by-step and 7 videos and some resources to actually get you started on the right track. But we know that some of you might actually want to go all in on your VA journey. So we have a very comprehensive, our signature course, launch in 30 days as an option for you as well. And this takes you through everything that you need to know to launch your VA business and land your first well-paying client. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.